Hello, Marcus Eikenberry, and I got hacked. So the too long didn't watch the whole video version is that old domains can be purchased by other people, and then they can use them to access accounts that you didn't realize you had an email address on that domain. So I know that just seems so logical, and it's like a no-duh thing. But I'm pretty smart tech-wise, I'm pretty smart security-wise, and still I got had by this. So let me tell you how this happened. My Facebook account got taken over. And now it's not just like, where you see your friends get hacked or whatnot, and then they have ads get posted out or whatnot. It's not that. This was a complete takeover of my account. So I feel like I was very, very targeted by this attack. And the reason I say that is because they were very, very smart in what they did. They tried for weeks to try and get into my Facebook account. And I kept getting those emails saying someone's trying to log in from Brazil, from Turkey, from Russia, from wherever, and I go and look up some of the IPs, and they're all proxies, they're all anonymous proxies and everything. And so, some of that may not be so unusual, except that I was getting tons of password reset requests and stuff like that. And so what they were doing was they were testing different email addresses, different known old email addresses for me to see whether or not they could get a response from Facebook to see whether or not there was something associated with that. And so finally they found one. And it was on a domain called Marquee Dragon Inc. It was an old domain that we probably hadn't really used it professionally since around 2012, 2013. And so I had, I don't remember if that one was one of the domains that was transferred in my loss of my company back then, which that's a whole nother story. So the basically, this domain, which here, I'll show it to you right here. This domain right here, it was no longer owned by anybody. And then you can see here on the 1st of October, it was registered by somebody. Well, this person who registered it, this is the same day that I realized that I got compromised. And so they were not interested in any of the traffic going to it or anything like that. What they were interested in was an email address that I had on there that basically linked up to my Facebook account. And so they figured out that I had an email address linked on that. They probably just scoured all the old email addresses for me everywhere. And then were able to figure that out. They purchased the domain, and then they did a password reset request, and somehow they were able to get that done. I had 2FA turned on my Facebook account. And I think that's really important to note because they were able to bust through my 2FA. I don't exactly know how they did that. I know that it was very important for them to get control of this domain in order to get my Facebook account, but it also at the same time, there's most likely another component because just having that email address alone shouldn't have been enough for them to remove the 2FA off my account. Now, I don't know what Facebook's policies are on that. Maybe there is a way and they know it and I didn't, and they got that done. Otherwise, when I realized that my Facebook account had been hacked, I immediately turned off my laptop. My laptop was the only place that I ever used Facebook. I immediately just shut it off and then started investigating what was going on because I felt like something was very, very compromised in order to completely lose my account. A couple of days before, they had submitted to Facebook for my verification. And so being in the public eye and everything, and having had so many problems with people impersonating me on Facebook and taking advantage of other people through that impersonation, I had many times submitted to be verified. Well, they had turned me down every time. They're like, oh, you just don't need it. Well, I don't really know what the qualifications are, except that, I felt like I needed it. And so anyway, I got on the 1st, I got an email stating that Facebook now agrees that I am worthy of being verified. Like, great, except there was a big red flag. I thought, because there were so many hack attempts on my account and everything, that Facebook wanted to take an extra security measure to verify me as part of their process to help protect my account. That was my thinking. And so when I got this email, the first thing I was very, very suspicious. I made sure that email very much so came from Facebook, and that the links in it also were directly to Facebook. So I was able to, without going on the links on that email, log into my Facebook account and respond to their request for identification for the verification. And so then I submitted my information, and that night it got approved. So 1 hour after my verification was approved is exactly when these other guys took over my account. And so I realized then that their whole deal was to get a verified account. It wasn't to post spam on my Facebook or anything. It was to get a verified account. And they successfully did that. So the very first post of this other guy who now owns the account, which I don't think that he's the hacker. I suspect that he purchased it from someone else who did this, and some black market site or whatnot. But his very first post was, "Oh, I am so pleased that Facebook has finally verified me, but they required me to set up a new account." So now, some other guy from Vietnam or Cambodia, I don't remember where, now owns my account and has my check mark. And so, me being dumbfounded by this, like, one, I realized that I had made some mistake somewhere. And so I immediately tried to contact Facebook to fix this, but to no avail. They had it locked down so tight, these hackers did, that every time I tried to submit that there was a problem, it went to their email address. It comes up with, a couple letters, bunch of stars, couple letters, at, and then, whatever domain. And it says that everything is being sent there, even though it responds every time to each one of my email addresses. So then I decided to try and figure out, what was going on. And I realized that one of my things that I had in some data for Facebook was this markydragoninc.com domain. And so I figured out that I had that email address on there. And I thought to myself, I wonder what's going on with the domain, because I don't have ownership of it anymore. I didn't realize that I had this account associated with that domain. And so I went and looked, and sure enough, the day before, somebody purchased the domain. And I knew instantly what had happened. So then the next scary thing happened. I said to myself, holy shit, how many accounts do I have associated with this domain that we dropped, 5 years ago or so? And it turned out I had several. I hadn't even thought about it. And I don't know why I hadn't thought about it, but I had several. The first thing I did was, well, of course, not on my infected laptop. Actually, I couldn't figure out what was going on, and I couldn't figure out if there was anything actually going on my laptop. So in an abundance of caution, I wiped it. Because if I couldn't find anything on it, it doesn't mean that they got something on it, but I didn't know. And it's easy enough these days with keeping everything in the cloud, most of your stuff in the cloud, to just wipe the laptop and start fresh. So I did that. And I immediately went to my bank accounts and found that I still had this email address on my PayPal account. Holy shit. Huh? Yeah. So now my PayPal account has some money in it. And so that was quite upsetting. And so then that led to me going through all of my accounts for the past, 20 years, which I have all of the records of all of the accounts that I have. But what I didn't have was an ability to just say, okay, did I use this domain on any of those accounts? I really just didn't have that information readily at hand, except for it was listed as the login email on some of them. Those were pretty easy to go take care of right away. One of them I found would not allow me to change the email address because it was tied to some payment that was 15 years ago. And it's like, no, this is your account name, and there was no way to change it or anything. It was a really old copy of Fraps, which was a video capture program from way back when. And they wouldn't allow me to change it. So I just put in a request to close the account. And so anyway, but I found on my PayPal account that I had one of those domains. So then I went looking further. And I found that, so when I lost my company back in, was it 2013 or so? I think that was the final thing. I was out the door before that. And I lost it in a divorce. And so there were some domains that were transferred over as well. And they dropped those domains. And I found some of those dropped domains on some of my other accounts. None of them were super critical, but it just goes to show that, you create accounts all over the place, and you're doing different types of business, or just accounts for fun or for games or whatever. And then you lose access to that email. If you have a Gmail or something like that, they don't let somebody else sign up with that same email address. And so they can't take you over that way. But a domain, if they figure out that domain had anything sensitive on it, then they can get it. I can tell you that there's another domain, which is from my one of my former stores, that the finance minister of some country in Africa purchased. And so he had some sort of back order on it. So when it became available, he grabbed it right away. And so, anyway, I was thinking about this. A lot of times, I have a few domains still, and I put a catch-all on them. And so this catch-all basically says, any email address going to this, then you can capture those emails and you can see what's going on. And that way, if it's, some forgotten account that you need to get into, you can send a password request and it will email you, and you'll get that email. And so with that said, this person who got that old company domain, there were tons of company emails on that. And I'm sure that there was tons of different accounts. Now, I wouldn't suspect that anybody'd have their personal account on there, but it just goes to show that they could put a capture-all on the email and then just start waiting to see what comes in. Next thing you know, PayPal emails in or something like that and says, oh, hey, you haven't used this in a while. Come back and use this again. We'll give you some discount on some purchase or something like that. And so they could get that email and then know that there's an account at that email and just submit for a lost password and maybe get in. And then if there was money in there, they'd have it. So I did find that the old Marky Dragon Inc. email address, that I had one affiliate account that did pay out sometime in the last couple of years, a few $100s, which I didn't get. So I don't know, what happened on that, but anyway, but that'd be the perfect thing. You'd be like, oh, free money? Oh, yeah, I'll attach this to my current PayPal account and accept it. Yeah. So anyway, it seems so simple that you would not have, that you would remove any accounts from an old domain, but I just didn't even think about it. And I probably removed stuff way back when, but I just didn't think about this other thing. And when you're going through something like getting kicked out of your own company, maybe you're not in the right frame of mind to be analytical about it and say, where am I vulnerable in this? Other than, walking out the door, flipping everybody off and saying, have a nice fucking life, So anyway, so now, have I spooked you enough that you have domains that you used to have that you no longer have? I really recommend logging into the accounts that are important to you to see whether or not you have it as an associated email or whatever, and you remove that. You're very, very vulnerable to that. Now, I don't think that was 100% the only thing that they used to get my Facebook account, which I have a new Facebook account now. I thought about that. Do I sign up for a new Facebook account, or do I just say, F you, Facebook? Because I tried everything I could to get my account back, including I emailed some people I know that work at Facebook, asking them for assistance, and got nothing. I suspect, maybe somebody who works at Facebook knows this, I suspect that Facebook has a policy of zero communication, whether in public or in private, on issues like this. And that is their policy. And that's why my friends did not respond. Because otherwise, I think they would have responded. They're not just lackeys at Facebook. They're, middle and higher up. But I got nothing. So I suspect that that's a policy internally with them. Anyway, I did sign up another Facebook account. And I did so because, I didn't see another way around some of the business contacts that I have through there and seeing what family's doing. And as much as I despise Facebook these days, yeah, I'm still on there for the communication. It's true. So anyway, hopefully none of you have encountered this. And so go forth, check your accounts, and then rest easy that this won't happen to you. I'm Mark Eikenberry. Take care.